Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make my layered Mardi Gras mask SVG file. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've unzipped the folder, start a new project in Cricut Design Space and press the Upload button. And then go into Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the folder on your computer or drag and drop the file in. Make sure you select the file which starts SVG in the file name. That's the one to use in Cricut Design Space and the other files won't work correctly. So just make sure you choose the one that starts SVG. And click and drag it in, and then when it's loaded it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the layers completely separated, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, click cancel down on the bottom and try again and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. When it looks like this, go ahead and press upload. And then once it appears in your recent uploads, click on it and then press Add to Canvas. Here's what the design looks like, and it's coming at 8 inches wide, which is actually the size that I was going to cut it out, so I don't need to resize it. But if you did want to resize it, then you can just use this box at the top, type in a new width and press Enter, and the height will change automatically. You can see from this list down the side, all of the layers are already separated for us, so there's nothing else we actually have to do apart from click Make It and then see all of the different colours. If you want to change your paper size, use the drop down on the left and then you can change it. You'll need to change the paper size for every single colour of the design. You might find if you use some smaller pages, if you've got a large mask, if you've sized it quite big, then it will split each bit onto 2 different pages as they won't fit on the same one. So go ahead, change all your paper sizes, and then when you're happy with how it's looking, go ahead and press continue. It will connect to your Cricut machine and then you can follow the instructions on screen to get everything cut out from cardstock. Here are all my layers cut out and I've just laid them one on top of the other so that I make sure I've got the order right and that I'm happy with the colours. I'm going to be using a mixture of glue and foam squares to stick this together. The glue that I'm using is called Collall. I really like this because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. Other great glue alternatives include Barely Art glue and art glitter glue, and then I like to put this into these needle tip applicator bottles. These have got teeny tiny little nibs on them, which means I'm going to be able to get the glue in all of these tiny pieces really easily. Here are the foam squares that I'm using, and these ones are quite small, which is great for this design, but if yours are bigger, you can easily cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. We're going to be starting from the bottom and working our way upwards, so I need to move all of these layers out of the way so that I've just got the bottom ones. And here are my bottom 2. The very bottom one is the one with the ribbons on, and then I've got this solid mask to go on top. And for this layer, I'm going to use 3D foam pads. So I'll turn it upside down and then add my foam squares. You want to make sure when you're adding your foam that not only do you put a good amount around the edge, but also that you put some in the middle. And that's because if you don't have any in the middle, it means all of this cardstock area has nothing stable underneath it once we stick it down, and you might find that it sort of dips down in the middle and you won't get as good a 3D effect. I'm putting my foam pads in all of these little pointy bits, and this needs to have a really good stick on it because it's going to have all the other layers on top, so it needs to be really sturdy and stable on that base layer. And then this is what I meant by just adding some in the middle to make sure it's all nice and evenly covered. Now I can peel the tops off of the foam pads to release all of the stickiness underneath. Now that's done, bring the base layer back in, and I'm going to line this up and then just gently place it down. And the reason I'm just letting it drop is that if I hadn't lined it up right, I'd be able to pick this up again and try again without damaging anything. But I'm actually happy with how this is looking, so I'm just going to push down to make sure all of those foam pads are securely stuck. The next layer to add is this one, which creates the detail around the top of the purple part of the mask. This is a glue layer, so I'll turn it upside down and add some glue. Just like with the foam pads, we want to make sure we get a good stick so that it's going to be nice and secure. And as well as going around this main part, I'm also going to get my glue into the tiny little bits along the top. And that's where these needle tip bottles come in really handy, because they're so thin, I can just really accurately and easily place some glue along those edges. And now, just like before, I'm going to line it up with the layers that are already done. And it's a little bit easier with the glue layers because you've got that wiggle room before the glue dries if you need to position it a little bit different. I'm going to push down quite gently, especially around the tips, because I don't want any of the glue to smush out onto the dark purple. It does dry clear, but even so, I just want to get this as neat as I can. The next layer is this solid yellow, which will be a foam pad layer. So let's turn it upside down and add the foam squares. And then line it up with what you've already got and just let it gently drop down. And when you're happy, push down to seal. Next, we've got this lighter yellow layer, and this will be a glue one. Again, we want to get our glue into these teeny tiny bits in the top of the mask that make up the feathers, so that when this is all stuck together, it doesn't become too fragile on these end bits. And then we can line it up and gently push those top bits down to avoid that glue smudging out. Next, we have this green layer, and it's up to you for this one if you want it to be a foam layer or if you want it to be a glue layer. So it depends how much depth you want to give to your Mardi Gras mask. I'm going to glue mine because there's still a few foam pad layers to go, and I don't want this to end up too thick to fit into my frame. On the assembly guide PDF file, which is included in your download folder, I will put that this one is optional if you choose to glue it or foam it. So you can make that decision based on how much depth and 3D effect you want to have. There we go. And then the next one adds the detail to those feathers. And as this is a detail layer, it is also a glue one. You can see this is quite a tricky design to cut from cardstock because it gets so narrow in places, like these little hearts. But it is very, very pretty. If you need any help with cutting intricate designs on cardstock, leave me a comment below and I'll reply with some tips. And again, I'm just going to gently tap those little feathery bits. Okay, this is looking awesome. Next, we've got some more yellow layers. Here's the solid one, and again, this is another optional one if you want to glue it or foam it. Because I glued the green, I think I will foam this one. Make sure you don't get your foam pads over any of the little cutout shapes, otherwise you'll be able to see them when you turn the piece around. And we don't want to be able to see the foam, we want it all to be nice and hidden. I'm using the little spiky bits along here to know where to line this up, because some of the outer edges are a little bit different. There we are. Okay, so as ever, next is a detail layer, and this one will be glued. I'm loving all the colours in this design. It's really bright and cheerful, and I think it represents the colours that are traditionally used in Mardi Gras really nicely. Be careful with your glue that you don't go into any of the gaps otherwise you will get your work surface all sticky. And then this one will line up. And those little swirls are going to line up perfectly so that we can see the green through from a couple of layers down. Next we have this purple layer, and this is a glue layer. So it's getting a little bit tricky to get the glue around these cutouts, but with these needle tip bottles it is perfectly doable. And now you can see all of these cutouts showing different colours behind it. We've got the light yellow, the dark yellow and the green. So that's looking really pretty. Finally, we've got the green feathers to go on top. So we'll start with the solid layer, and this one will be a foam layer, our last foam layer for this design. I'm going to line this up with the top lines of purple to get these feathers all neatly in place. There's just one layer left now, which is the top of the feathers to add the detail, and this one is really delicate, so be careful when you're adding the glue that you don't accidentally rip it. Okay, so I know I'm going to get my fingers covered in glue now, but here we go. Being very careful, this is very flimsy, this layer. I'm going to add it on carefully so that it doesn't move about and drag any of the glue anywhere it's not supposed to go. Just gently tap it down. You don't want that glue to smush out the sides. And there we go, our layered masquerade mask is all ready to go into our shadow box or on a greetings card or wherever it is that you'd like to display it for Mardi Gras. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make my free layered Mardi Gras mask. To get the file, check the link in the description of this video and check back soon for even more free SVGs and Cricut Craft tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!